Greg, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. This is a first for me, so we'll see how it goes.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for
Yeah,
making us your first.
yeah.
Uh, how did you get into the fenestration world?
Oh, well, I was lucky. I was born into it. Yeah.
Right.
So Dad started a hardware business back in 1980 in Northern Ireland, and it was a time, and he started off supplying a whole mixture of hardware, everything from wheelbarrows, buckets, spades, all the insulation, all the rest.
Right.
But he had a few guys that he knew that were in the joinery business. So we started supplying them stays and fasteners and all those nails and glue, all those bits of things. But like I said, it was 1980, so the PVC industry started to get up and going, and he latched onto that and got into the hardware side of things. Then he bought a lot of stuff through the likes of Heinz Wagner, companies like that there, and then become the main distributor for Hoppy, Mako, GU, all those sorts of brands. So
Right.
the business grew really well, really quickly, and we were using, or sorry, he was using. Uh, Leanne and I had a play shed out the back, and that become the first store.
Wow.
And then he was just working from the house. He had a car. He employed a guy. The guy needed a car, so he took Dad's car, and off he went. And it just went from one thing to another. Got into the kitchen trade as well, supplying, supposed through the joinery customers, supplying kitchen doors and all the kitchen components and stuff. But the focus was primarily on the window and door side. So that he started up that way. Then in 1992, he opened a place over here, over in Alfreton.
Right.
And that was all driven by suppliers saying to them, look, you're doing a good job in Ireland. Why don't you do something similar, UK mainland? So that was 92. Then I came into business in 2000. Always said I wouldn't work for Dad. Yeah, but wanted to do something with cars. Went to uni, got out of uni, and I'd always worked summer jobs in and around the business and just sort of fell into it. Got a job working in the sales office, just on telesales, talking to customers. It wasn't a hard push telesales. It was, do you need anything today, or having a chat with the customers, and then they would have placed orders for we had a milk run.
Right.
Went from that to just really more of a push on the sales side of things. Ended up working with the full sales team, and then it went from that to one of the products that we put a push on was PVC door panels. So we were the agents for Door Panels PLC in Ireland, and we were selling quite a lot of their products. And it was a nice part of the business because you just bought it in and sold it on. You weren't carrying any stock. It was a 5-7 day lead time. It was
Yeah.
relatively
Nice.
easy. But you were sitting looking at early 2000s going, this has got a shelf life. This is not going to continue. So we looked at composite doors. We knew this was the way to go. It was something that we had to seriously consider. And but we looked at the challenges of how we could convert a PVC panel customer, which were mainly installers, into a composite door slab, given the fact that we weren't manufacturers, so we weren't planning on making a door set. So we thought, oh, do you know what we'll do? We'll do prep slabs. What about that? So we'll add all the hardware to it, and we'll just offer it as a component that somebody can fit inside their door slab. This was 2004, 2005, but we were a little bit early. At this stage, the 44 mil door hadn't really been accepted in the market. We took a stand at Interbuild. The stand was very much, people walked on the stand and says, how do I fit that? And we went, well, you fit it like a normal joinery timber door, but everybody's seen PVC over rebated doors, what they do, right? So at the same show, we came across a door manufacturer. They approached us and said, whose door is that? We said, it's that door. They said, well, would you consider another? We said, yeah, well, we'll always consider. Let's look at this. What have you got? They knew very little about the market, but we went and visited their factory, and we thought there's definitely an opportunity here. They were supplying some of the main, what would you say, the large door set manufacturers, and we seen an opportunity to bring stock in, put it on the shelf, and distribute the stock. And to be honest, we lost our way a bit because we moved away from the prep door side of the market, And we thought, well, we can just buy these in and sell them back out again. We had some good success with that, but then that supplier decided they wanted to go to market themselves,
Hmm.
and they cut us out.
Yeah.
And we were heavily invested in that business. And I don't mean just monetarily. I seen that as the future for the the family, the future for the group, and that was a real blow.
Mm.
And we stepped back from that, and I personally stepped back from it and went, you know what, I'm done with Composite Doors. I've put so much effort and time into this. We're just walking away from it. So I did, and that was 2008, 2009, when it was the whole crash,
Yeah.
and yes, it was tough. It was really tough, and we had to make a lot of tough decisions at that time. And I decided that I would sort of forget about UK mainland and would concentrate on our home market. So I pushed in the joinery side hard and composite door manufacturer side in Ireland, and we worked with customers over there, and we rebuilt the business back up there, and coming out of a decimated market. So we had to change our focus and push more on the social housing and the people that were supplying down in the south of England on the joinery side, and we worked with that. That was grand. That worked okay. Then Dad very much still wanted the presence over here, so he kept coming across, and I'm working with the guys over here. And then Dad took ill, so he stopped coming across, and somebody had to come across. And as a family business with three sisters, and I'm the only bloke, and everybody was at that stage of their life where there was young kids and everything else. Obviously, I was the natural choice to start coming across. So I did come across, and I started calling my customers to sell PVC hardware. That just wasn't for me. It was price orientated. There was no loyalty. There was no loyalty from both sides. You had customers that would buy anywhere, and you had suppliers that would supply anybody. So being a hardware distributor was a really, really tough role to play. So hats off to anybody that sticks at it. But I looked at it and went, this is not the way we run the business in Ireland. It's not the way I want to run the business here. I don't want to be jumping from ship to ship and all the rest. So we looked at the business and went, well, what are we going to do? We've got several choices. We've got staff here, long serving staff. We're going to lay them off. We're going to keep them. We're going to close the business down. We're going to sell it. What's left of it? What are we going to do? And the decision was, we'll have a go with composite doors again. So, so we went back to Preps Labs because we thought, well, what can we do with this? And we thought, well, if for every prep slab we sell, we can sell another lock, we can sell a handle, we can sell. So it wasn't just a prep slab, it was what we call a kit. It was a package. So we marketed it as a one-stop shop. And
Right.
we targeted smaller fabricators who wouldn't necessarily wouldn't have the ability to carry all the stock for all the ranges and everything else. So we carried the stock of all the different hardware types, whether it be your slam lock, your heritage lock, your standard lock, different handle options. We did all those, carried them all on the shelf, bought in a prep slab, bought in the glass, put the package together, sent it out to our customer, went and shown them how to put the whole assembly together and make it into a door set. And that's where it sort of started from with the composite doors. We went from there. Then prep slabs was the main focus, always on the basis that we don't manufacture. We've never manufactured. That's not what we did. We were a family that done boxes in and boxes out, and that's what we knew. I always had a bit of an inkling about making something. So once we got up to a level where we could justify it, the first CNC went in, and me being me, will we employ somebody to run it, or will I learn? I thought, well, I'll learn, and then at least we know where we are going forward. We're not held to ransom by anybody. So
I like that.
yeah, that was very important. Yeah. So especially with the business being in Nottingham, and I live in Northern Ireland, and the family all lives there. So we need to know that we had some good staff that we could trust, which is really important. It's because you can't have a remote business that you don't have that in. But those staff members had no manufacturing experience either, so it was all just distribution, distribution, distribution. So it was important that I had a good understanding of how you could run the machines, how you could work it. So we took that on. We started manufacturing. Well, when I say manufacture, we started cutting holes in doors, and that was 2017. 2018, we put our second CNC in, which was not really a volume driven decision. It was more, what if one goes down? What do we do? Yeah,
Yes.
we're committed to this now. You're either fully in or you're not in at all. So we put that machine in, and then we went from then we ran out of space. We just we we just kept moving stuff and rearranging things and putting mezzanine floors in and moving racking and setting stuff outside. It was a shared yard, so that didn't work because you come back the next morning and the stuff was gone. Yeah, so and it was a nice area, don't get me wrong, but it was still gone. So we bit the bullet on this place, and we moved down in here into mid 2019. So that was a big year for us because I had I was off for a month or so with bowel surgery. We moved premises, we did the fit show, we started making door sets. Um, my young lad started carting, which took up a lot of my time. So it was one of those absolutely crazy years. And but when we did move in here, the intention was not to do door sets. The intention was still to do prep slabs. So we had loads of space. We spoke to Commerling. They asked us to make door sets for them. We thought, right, okay, well, we'll give this a go, and that got us into the. It got me doing something that I previously kept avoiding and ignoring and stepping away from. But as soon as we did it, we realized that was the way forward for the business. We could see that we could take control over the quality of the product from start to finish, and we could give out something that we were happy with and know that the end consumer was going to get something the way we expected to be made, not supplying a component and hoping that the guy after us was going to make it right. So we went down that avenue, and then COVID struck. So yeah, we were doing manufacturing schedules on spreadsheets. We were using the T card system, and at that stage, we were doing what 10, 15 door sets a week. So it was okay. It was manageable. It was just a wee side part of the business. We came back, and the orders were coming in 60, 70, 80, 90 doors a week.
Wow.
And does anybody want to turn business away? No, but it was just disaster. We didn't have the people in place. We didn't have the processes in place. We hadn't gone through the pain of understanding how to manufacture properly, or never mind that level of growth. And not only that, we our prep slab business got really busy as well. So it was great. It was going well. Then we introduced door sets into that. We brought in a team to try to manufacture them, and it was just chaos. And we let customers down. We burnt lots of bridges. On top of all that, we had lots of supplier issues too. It wasn't entirely our
Yeah.
fault, but we were a big contributor to it, and it was what it was, and we just muddled through and worked through. Um, then there's a lot of learning in that, an awful lot of learning in that, and like I said, the processes weren't there, so we had to sort of take a step back from it and go, right, well, how do we fix this? Not just today, how do we fix this for going forward? And if we are going to grow, how do we get it sorted that we can actually cope? And we went through quite a lot of managers. Um, yep, I'm probably not the easiest to work for, but if it all goes well, it all goes well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I've got an expectation. I think everybody's got their own business, does have that expectation of the way they want something done. And when we're remote, it can put a manager coming in under extra pressure. And
Yeah.
I understand that and I get that. And we always try to allow for that. But equally, whenever customers are giving you a hard time because you're letting them down or quality issues and you're going, well, how do, why are we doing that? I thought we discussed all the procedures and everything else. I thought we'd run through all that. And I would be hands on. I'd go down and make a door now if that's what's needed to sort a customer out. And the guys all know that. And most of the guys on the floor, I've worked alongside them. The only thing I can't do, I can't spray. I've never learned how to spray. I'll get there. I've never learned that apart from some stuff at home. But whether it be anything on the CNCs or glazing and hanging, any of those, the guys, they'll probably kick me out because I'll be slower than them, but they'll still have me. They'll
Yeah.
still have me beside them if needs be. But going through all of that, we learned so much. We learned an awful lot, and suppose the big crutch and all that. And one thing I haven't really talked about, we are a family business, and when I say that, I think we've got 58 staff across 3 sites, but in that is myself, my wife, and two of my sisters, and my dad still calls in and lends a hand or gives advice, or he's always on hand if you need him. So the business is driven that way. A lot of our staff, okay, not so here because of the changes in the business, but we've staff members working for us in Ireland that have been there for 30 years, and we think a lot of them, and we like to think that they think a lot of us too, and guys and girls that have come out of school and they're okay, they're not retirement age, but they're well into their working career and they've been with us ever since they left school. So that means a lot to us, and it's a
Mm.
big part of what we do. And I suppose it's the way we try to run the business. Every staff member is important to us. Uh, but yeah, so we carried on here and we built the team. Um, we built a team that believe they treat the business like it's their own. We've a brilliant general manager here, Kevin. We've Jane, who's his assistant manager, and Conrad, our production manager. But we've even guys down the floor, and they take so much pride in what they do. And it used to be whenever I said this to Leanne, my sister, when we jumped out of the car the other day, normally when I arrived here, it was right out of the car, throw the bag up the stairs, run down on the floor, see where I can help out, what needs. It's not that anymore. I can arrive, go up the stairs, get stuck into my own work, and then we can start into the meetings about how the business is run rather than firefighting, which is what
Mm.
it used to be. So it's a big change. Yeah.
That's quite a journey. That's quite a journey.
It is, yes. It is with lots of learning, but we're still learning. Yeah.
So, a few questions. I don't know if you've been, but how did your dad pick this area when he came over to? Because you had the whole of the UK.
He employed a guy that lived in Alfredton.
Right. As simple as
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And look and it's not a bad area.
No, no,
And
it's quite central.
uh,
I'd argue that you can go up and down quite,
yeah, it is. The motorway links are dead handy,
Mm.
and you've a lot of. We used to supply through the hardware side. We would supply some of the profile guys, that are up the road from us. Whether we supplied from memory, we supplied a bit into Sincil, we supplied a bit into shear frame and or LB plastics, what they were called at the time. I think a bit into you. So they're on our doorstep, so that worked as well. And yeah, there's a manufacturing base around here, so yeah. But it wasn't strategic. It was, yeah, we've employed a guy that lives in Alfredton. We need a warehouse, find a warehouse. Obviously, he found a warehouse that was close to him, and that's where it came from. Yeah,
Right, makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
So, sort of, what does your day to day look like now? Then you sort of mentioned you arrived, but sort of, especially with the travel as well, because that fascinates me.
yeah. My day is completely varied. I don't have a, yeah. I'm not as organized as that. I just deal with what needs dealt with. I can work. I wouldn't be a big advocate for working from home, and up until probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I've been dead set against it. But bec- with being used to traveling so much, I can work from anywhere. I've got full connectivity into every system that we have, and that I suppose that's partially driven by the fact that this has always been remote over here. Lurgan as a business is a hardware business, but on top of that, it does the bulk of the admin for what's here. So we handle all the account side over there, we handle all the purchasing side over there, and we always have done. So there's an inherent link between the two, and the staff do all work together. But my day, yeah, travel. Yeah, you lose so much time in travel, and it's small things like getting to and from the airport. And I used to be the guy that left the airport to last minutes, rushing down, throwing keys at a hire company, running and getting on the flight and sweating. And I missed several flights. I'm not that guy anymore. I leave myself plenty of time. I prefer to sit around the airport, even pull a laptop out or your phone, which you can do so much from now,
Yeah.
do a bit of work there and get on the flight that way. Um, but it doesn't matter where I am. If I'm here, I could be working for the customers in Northern Ireland, or if I'm in Northern Ireland, I could be working for the customers here. I do miss it when I'm not here. This is my baby. And the guys that we've got here are brilliant to work with, and we're always trying to. We know we make a 44 mil composite door. We know that it's the components that many other 44 mil composite door manufacturers use. It's a 44 mil slab, it's a PVC frame, it's a hinge, it's a lock. So we just try to make the best 44 mil composite door that we can make, and we do genuinely think that we do. We make a door that I would put in my own house or recommend anybody to have in their house. Um, we, but we're always trying to, as much as you can, we're always trying to push the envelope a bit. When we supply inox, we don't surface mount the cassettes, we recess them in the doors.
Right.
When we, and those wee things, it doesn't sound like an awful lot, but for us, it just makes a difference. When we paint the door, we paint the hinge side of the door so that when you open the door, you see that the hinge side looks the same colour as face, so it doesn't look like a plastic door. We do things like um, Austral Georgian bars, so we don't just work with the standard cassettes. We just try to add that little bit that's different. The guys in paint are always coming to me with, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and that is great. And I said this yesterday. Sometimes I look at it and think, do we offer too much and don't stay focused enough? But when you can, I think that's just in us to go and do that. So whenever I've really gone off here, but my typical day is so varied. It can be a hardware customer in Ireland that's got a contract on that's really worth working on, to a hardware customer that rings me and says, "Hi, I've got one door to do. What hardware have you got for doing this or doing that?" There's a lot of customers who've got my phone number, and I'm open to a conversation with any of them, and that can go through to a meeting here about a machine going down, or a new paint finish, or a new way they're going to try to do stable doors, or it can be absolutely anything, or it can be an accounts question, or it can be, yeah, anything. My day is so varied
So
and
what?
unstructured,
But
unfortunately.
yeah, but I think that happens with every business. When you're running a business, you are. It's lovely to be organised, but I resonated with you. So even I've missed a train once because literally I pushed it too far, and I got there and it was a lovely clear station, but there was no train
True.
coming.
Oh,
So no,
we have
yeah,
another ways
I
to
was like,
head
oh, this
off,
is great.
yeah.
Am I early? No, I'm definitely not. So and that I think that was because of that was a hardware issue I had. I was exporting something or something, and then I fixed that problem. So one, that problem will never happen again.
Yeah.
I can now,
Yeah, but
uh,
you had to learn from
but you
it.
got to learn
Yeah.
from it. It's got to cost you,
Yeah.
and it cost me a
Yeah.
hundred quid or whatever it was. And I
Yeah.
thought never again. There's got to
Yeah.
be, and it's so really resonated with the systems and everything that you said about, you know, most people, like you say, you can't say no to customers,
Yeah.
and but
Yeah.
you've got to be prepared for them as well. Otherwise, you say yes, and but like you say, it was a difficult time. There were a lot of suppliers then, and things like that. That it was just a knock on effect. But it sounds like in a world where it feels like there's quite a few composite door manufacturers, you're still here. You're surviving. You're standing out.
Oh,
So
we
you're obviously
are.
doing something right.
Yeah, we don't chase volume, and that was always the same in the hardware game as well. We never went after the cheap and nasty product, or we never went and sourced the cheapest that we could do just to get an order. And we would be that way on the composite door side as well. And we we're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive, but I would say we offer, and okay, everybody's going to say it, but we offer good value for money. We offer a nicely made product for the price that we charge. We can go everywhere from a standard door right up to, some of our Highliner inox doors, and from a £600 door to a £2,500 door set, and everywhere in between. And we offer that, and we try to offer, yeah, we do our best to offer a personalized service to that customer by not chasing volume and not going hard and heavy numbers, 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 numbers. It gives us time to work with the customers, and
Yeah.
then you do get an awful lot of requests saying, can you do this? Can you do that? And and we try to facilitate that as much within reason. We try to facilitate that as much as possible, but it is that personal touch that I think keeps us going and keeps us in with the customers.
Also, I'd say the sort of setup you've got, and that you're not going out of the volume. The innovation can be there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's the big thing for us. Um, is what way we can push the boundaries on what we're doing with a 44 mil slab, with the paints, with the hardware that we've got, and our range, our flexibility and range. A lot of it's driven by the hardware knowledge that we have.
mm,
Um, all the components that we use, like I say, all the components that we use are what they're chosen because they're the best products, or we believe they're the best products for the door. We wouldn't use something that we would be questioning or going, nah, we're not so sure about that. So when we're out selling to customers, we're selling confidently in the quality. We'll always be pushed in price. That's the market. We know that's what it is. We always try to steer away from that conversation. We try to back our customers as best possible by giving them as many sales aids. And we have a bit of a focus on that at the moment. We're trying to push out to make it easier for our customers to sell our products, to demonstrate the merits of our products over our competition. Whether that gets relayed on as much as we would like, we're not so sure. So we're trying to give as many sales aids as possible that demonstrate that and drive the message home to the retail consumer.
ultimately, yeah, you're giving options. You're pushing. You're giving the homeowners what they want,
We're trying to,
effectively. Yeah,
yes, we're trying to.
and ultimately, you're also in a position where if new hardware comes along, you're not afraid to put it in if you think it's the best fit and it
Yeah,
works.
no, we'll all, yeah, yeah. We're very loyal. Um, maybe that's the way I see it. We use Wink House locks on everything. We've a very good relationship with Wink House, and that's come through the hardware business. We're their agents in Ireland, and we work very closely with them and have, whether it's the existing team that's there now or the guys that were there before them, and had that strong. So we do get approached by other lock manufacturers, but it's the loyalty side.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, the products, I believe the product's as good as you're going to get, but I don't consider other ones because we've got such a good relationship with those guys, and that comes with not just the lock, that comes with the furniture that we use in the doors. It comes with door slab, it comes with glass with like a Regal lid. Yes, good supply